well, amongst these sanctimonious leftists, from Kimmel to De Niro to Stephanopoulos, they want you to believe they're better than you, more virtuous, more decent. But we all know the truth. They lie. They sin. They do the very things they accuse you of and the things they say they would never do. Evil things, like try to destroy people based on feigned outrage from which they spare their own.
Without even entering the same room, Megyn Kelly completely destroyed Jimmy Kimmel with a barrage of nasty wordplay that had everyone's mouths dropping. How did she do it? What did she say that completely destroyed? Kimmel's reputation endures. Because, believe me, this verbal sparring match is so epic that it may potentially destroy the internet. Don't miss it.
The day when I was on the prime time of Fox and you were on the prime time of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Piers. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyers, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute prick. I can't stand.
Megyn Kelly just did something incredible. Instead of using cameras, shouting matches, or awkward talk show face-offs, she dominated the digital arena and completely destroyed Jimmy Kimmel with a level of sarcasm and precision that only someone who has perfected the art of the silent takedown could muster.
Same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities, and it wasn't a big deal. Absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling Mr. Kimmel, whose blackface costumes included his oft-repeated bit as basketball star Karl Malone.
Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's gonna be a...
Let's establish the scene. Jimmy Kimmel, the late-night king of political parody, is well known for his zingers, monologues, and his ability to disparage politicians and media personalities alike. But in this round, he was unable to jest or retort. In a single way, nope, Megyn. Jimmy was left with nothing but silence. Yes, stillness that stings like a swarm of enraged bees, while Kelly handled all the heavy labor.
How much it cost to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcast out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free, that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a...
How did Kelly do it? Kimmel's weapon is the late-night chuckle, but Kelly used the one thing Kimmel might not have anticipated: hard facts laced with scathing wit and a dash of public accountability. Kelly's was a fantastic fact-based roast from a distance that methodically undermined Kimmel's typical ploy.
Kimmel was very upset that Donald Trump took a shot at Taylor Swift. Trump was making fun of the fact that she got booed openly at the Super Bowl and he got cheered to the high heavens. And Jimmy Kimmel didn't much like that and had the following to say.
Trump was at the game. He got a big thrill because some of the crowd booed Taylor Swift when they put her up on the Jumbotron, which of course made Harry Conman Sr. very happy. He posted 3 times about this. After the game, he wrote, "The only one that had a tougher night than the Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving." Well, she didn't get booed out of the stadium. Unlike you, she stayed for the whole game. And it was the Eagles fans who were booing her. But you're right. It's all about you. It's always all... Trump's just jealous of Taylor Swift because she has more followers and more money and no kids than he does.
Okay. By the way, I was there all the way through, and she was gone. She was missing in action for most of the second half. So I don't know what he's talking about. Trump left at his previously designated time, which was, I think, 8:02. That had been scheduled, and that is when he left. And it's a little harder, Jimmy, when you're the president of the United States, because if you leave when everybody else is leaving, you completely F them over because no one can move anywhere. It's total gridlock in the city.
As the media watchdog, Kelly saw an opportunity to expose the hypocrisy, exaggerations, and the occasional lazy joke that passes for incisive political commentary. Jimmy's brand of humor, while beloved by many, has a tendency to straddle the line between humorous and downright irresponsible. His late-night jabs occasionally blur the line between satire and smearing. Okay, let's ramp up the intensity and get into the juicy specifics of how Megyn Kelly completely destroyed Jimmy Kimmel, using only cold facts and a zero-contact strategy that left everyone gasping at the delicacy of her burn. This wasn't like you usually, hey, I'm going to call you out on live TV. At that point, in order to dismantle Jimmy's entire comedic empire, Megyn went into full stealth mode and launched what you could call a silent smackdown picture. One well-written commentary and carefully crafted social media post at a time, she took the long game like a chess master, planning every move with surgical precision. She then released a series of online hits that analyzed Kimmel's style. His late-night antics and propensity for attempting to be edgy, but frequently failing or straying into areas that seemed less like satire and more like a disorganized stain. On the cultural carpet, Megyn's strategy was methodical and, most importantly, fact-based. She equipped herself with evidence that was far more threatening than a microphone, so she didn't need the showmanship of a face-to-face conflict.
Know what they saw. They saw what we saw. They saw the frail elderly man who needed help getting off the stage. They're just too chicken shit to tell us about it because they accurately deduced that he could still be the Democratic nominee and they don't want to ding him up. Maybe you give Barbara a pass. Who gives a damn what this singer saw or says? But you know what? Jimmy Kimmel happens to be employed by ABC, which happens to have a rather large news organization. And he has been one of President Trump's most vocal critics. Where are you, Jimmy? On vacation? Not good enough. You can still use your thumbs to send out a tweet. You could set the record straight right now.
She carefully dissected Kimmel's past of remarks and quips that weren't simply witty or sardonic, but occasionally contained false facts disguised as satire, exaggerations, or gags that went too far, and ended up punching down rather than amusing. It wasn't just a roast. It was an autopsy of a late-night act gone rogue. The true genius here was Kelly's ability to expose the hypocrisy in Kimmel's approach without ever saying a direct insult or engaging in back and forth. She didn't need to yell, "Gotcha!" Imagine her sitting behind a screen going through clips, transcripts, and social media threads, tearing apart the weak points of Kimmel's comedy with the accuracy of a surgeon excising a tumor. The audience noticed that although Kimmel's typical approach consists of quick jokes and snappy one-liners, frequently delivered live in a lightning-fast monologue, the fact spoke louder than any punchline ever could. Each pointed critique was like a carefully placed domino, and as they fell, the image of Kimmel's unfailing late-night persona crumbled. Kelly's methodical, slower approach caused a massive backlash. The internet was ablaze with people analyzing her arguments, spreading her posts, and essentially behaving as though she had just presented the facts in a palatable manner.
Sunday morning show with Stephanopoulos into the evening Academy Awards broadcast with Kimmel and ABC elevating, the blackface lovin' Kimmel. They, at the same time, fired Chris Harrison, host of The Bachelor, for trying to defend one contestant on The Bachelorette for saying, gee, I know I went to this antebellum party, a couple years ago. I guess I didn't see anything wrong with it. And all he said was, are we judging her by today's standards or are we judging her by, old standards, whatever. He was basically trying to say, are we being too hard on her? Got fired. Chris Harrison has to be fired by ABC. I don't know why, because he's not a committed leftist, because he's not out there more saying all the terrible things about Republicans that Jimmy Kimmel.
Why did this indirect attack work so well? First, it took Kimmel by surprise because there was no quick chance for him to respond with a retort, duck behind the curtain of late-night comedy, or launch an angry tweet storm. Instead, there was a deafening silence, and in that silence, Kelly's criticism resonated more strongly. This approach forced the audience to think critically rather than become enmeshed in an emotional shouting match, which is, let's face it, the typical late-night script. The public was invited to ask, wait, is there some truth to this? And the actual harm was done there. While everyone else is screaming, the one person calmly laying out facts and patterns looks like the adult in the room. Kelly didn't need flashy sound bites or viral catchphrases. People who might have been fans started asking questions. Skeptics felt validated, and even casual observers were drawn into the conversation. Her arguments were systematic, unquestionable, and unambiguous. It's the difference between a tantrum and a thoughtful argument, and you can guess which one lasts longer. The crowd's response adds another level to this. Megyn's strategy encouraged everyone, yes, even ardent Kimmel supporters, to take a step back and consider what was being said.
This past 2 weeks, they had the Kennedy Center honors the other night where Joe Biden couldn't say Dionne Warwick. He kept calling her Diane, and he didn't know who Barry Gibb was. He kept calling him Billy. You know who else was honored? At the Kennedy Center. You know who else? Billy Crystal. Just FYI, do you know who once opened up the Academy Awards in full blackface?
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Crystal. Billy Crystal. And do you know who's going to be hosting the Academy Awards this year? Jimmy Kimmel. Do you know who's worn blackface repeatedly and spoken inner city sort of urban accent saying she needs to darn those socks? Jimmy Kimmel as Oprah, as a fat-suited, black-faced darning socks.
Oprah. The great thing about this approach is that it doesn't just preach to the choir. Rather, it sneaks into discussions and arguments in a manner that loud attacks can't, and it does so while avoiding the spotlight and the stage. Kelly stayed clear of the typical pitfalls of confrontations in public. Despite the clumsy disruptions, defensive posture, and opportunity for the opponent to retort or counterattack, she remained untouchable, the epitome of a strategist who triumphs without exerting much effort. While late-night hosts live on quick wins, quick-fire gags, and viral videos that go viral for a day, there is also the strategic brilliance in playing the long game. Kelly's strategy generated lengthy discussions. Her criticisms were discussed, examined, and disputed for days or even weeks. In essence, the buzz wasn't a passing fad, but rather a slow-burning flame. Megyn. By taking the deceptive path, Kelly transformed what may have been a disorganized media circus into a well-executed surgical strike. She changed the course of traditional media confrontations by demonstrating that sometimes the most effective takedowns require only facts and not a stage, microphone, or audience. Patience combined with a hint of caustic humor.
Last night was the 96th Academy Awards show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Winner number one, Jimmy Kimmel. For the fourth time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known.
And what does that say about Jimmy Kimmel? His silence in the aftermath is practically the icing on the cake because he didn't respond to the public, effectively handing the narrative over to Kelly. Whether this was shock strategic silence or just a lack of words, it's a huge win for Kelly's approach. Overall, this silent smackdown serves as an example of how to outplay, outlast, and outsmart in the era of social media and immediate responses. While Jimmy Kimmel still managed to deliver his monologues and late-night laughs, Megyn Kelly used restraint, evidence, and scathing commentary to deliver a blow that will be remembered for a long time. The new sheriff in town is quite astute and equipped with facts, and believe me, she's only just getting started, but here's the real deal. Kelly used the raw power of her platform, a digital megaphone that reverberates across timelines and comment sections with unrelenting momentum, in an era where everyone is screaming to be heard instead of a microphone or a stage. The internet's ravenous appetite for drama, gossip, and spicy takes was turned into Megyn Kelly's ultimate weapon when she delivered a cold, calculated, fact-loaded knockout punch that left Jimmy Kimmel's fans blinking in disbelief and scrolling back to reread just to make sure they weren't hallucinating.
I will tell you, he's not the worst. The Daily Show has the worst ratings. They only have 366,000 people watching that show. During the Jon Stewart years, it was over 2 million. Now it's down to 300,000. Seth Meyers, absolutely dreadful. He doesn't even have 1 million, 778,000. I mean, for network television, this is, you don't have to pay for it. It's there when you turn on your TV, you plug it in. That's a dreadful number. Greg Gutfeld on cable, which you do have to pay for, it has more than double the numbers of Seth Meyers. Jimmy Kimmel, 1.5 million, averaging, also equally.
Imagine it without any dazzling lights. Absence of sound effects. Kelly was the grandmaster in this game, and instead of slamming the board down or flipping the table in a fit of rage, she calmly moved her pieces with precision, forcing Kimmel into checkmate without ever having to speak to him directly. This wasn't about clashing swords or theatrical dramatics, but rather about strategic brilliance. What made this even more impressive was her restraint. She kept it classy but brutal, without petty name-calling or desperate shouting, just a composed, confident dismantling of the facade. Every move made by Kimmel's late-night empire was a calculated blow that undermined his credibility and exposed the flaws in the foundation of his humor. Kimmel was left completely stunned, and the silence from his camp was louder than any retort. This silence became a statement in and of itself, a deafening echo that demonstrated how well Kelly's strategy worked. It was the kind of silence that says, "I have nothing to say because you just owned me without breaking a sweat." The lack of response wasn't a sign of weakness. Rather, it was evidence of the surgical impact of her silent assault. What this silent assault was made of was a combination of dissecting Kimmel's previous monologues and social media rants with the accuracy of a surgeon. Kelly highlighted patterns. In a world where noise is king, she demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful message is the one delivered in whispers, typed out with precision, and spread like wildfire by an eager and engaged audience. The public noticed that Kelly's approach resonated because it wasn't just yelling louder, it was exposing the flaws in the armor of a comedian who occasionally uses humor as a shield to avoid accountability. Jokes that weren't just edgy but frequently missed the mark, failed attempts at political insight, and moments where humor slipped into outright bias or misinformation. People enjoy a good roast, but when it's presented with style and facts, it's a feast. Kimmel, meanwhile, said nothing. That stillness spoke louder than words ever could, without tweets, retorts, or attempts to restore his street cred. Was it a calculated retreat, a moment of shock? Or simply a man understanding he's been outplayed without even knowing how? Kelly's takedown also highlights how media contests have changed. They are no longer about who can shout the loudest on television. Owning the story with cool, collected criticism that goes viral online is the new power maneuver. It serves as a reminder that knowledge-based wisdom will always prevail. Cheap pictures of the novel method of fighting fire without using fire, which caused a stir in the media. Kelly demonstrated that you can dismantle someone's facade without having to speak with them directly. Sometimes the most cutting words come from a well-placed article, a witty tweet, or a keyboard stroke. What does this mean for Kimmel? Well, although silence may be bliss, it also means that, for once, the focus shifted from his jokes and punchlines to his susceptibility to a well-timed, skillfully delivered verbal wallop. Jimmy Kimmel may still be the king of late-night laughs, but Megyn Kelly just crowned herself queen of the silent roast. The next time you hear someone discuss media feuds, keep this in mind because sometimes the loudest destruction occurs in complete silence, and trust me, you'll want to pay close attention when that silence occurs. Megyn Kelly's digital takedown wasn't just a victory over Jimmy Kimmel, it was a masterclass in modern media warfare. There was no shouting, no onstage battles, just pure strategy, sarcasm, and unquestionable truth.